Hey guys, what's going on? Dr. Frank here, the founder of Addiction Mindset Recovery Coaching Programs. In today's video, we're going to react to the viral Vice YouTube inside the deadly world of counterfeit vape cartridges. This topic means a lot to me. I'm from New York. I was probably one of the first people in New York State to get addicted to dank vape, Mario Karts, TKO carts. My plug knew what was up. He was early in the game on these counterfeit carts, and unfortunately, I was kind of the victim of them. I had no idea exactly how bad of an addiction I was getting into. Physically and mentally, I felt totally dead inside, and I really feel like this addiction could have killed me if I would have kept it up.
We could have been a good couple. We could have had something special. But you one crazy ass bitch.
So this video is intended for two groups of people. One, people who are unaware, who just want to learn more about this and they're not sure what's going on. And two, people who know that they're struggling with an addiction to these products, who know how bad it is for them, but they just can't seem to quit. I'm going to help both of you guys out. So let's get at it.
Centers for Disease Control is warning people to stop using e-cigarettes
following several mysterious deaths linked to vaping.
The CDC investigating a medical mystery spreading across the country tonight.
2 new deaths in Minnesota bring the nationwide total to 31 deaths.
3/4 were using THC-containing products.
Doctors are now warning the public about what they call EVALI.
I remember when this first broke the media, when this first broke the news, the media was so quick to blame the vaping industry, specifically nicotine vape products, and they were pointing fingers at vape shop owners and all these people. And I remember reading online, there was a lot of underground word on like Reddit and platforms like that saying, hey, this isn't the nicotine vapes, this has to do with the black market products. So what the media did was they put all the focus and all the attention on the vaping industry, the nicotine industry, while taking all the attention away, at least initially, from the dealers, the plugs, and the people flooding our streets with black market THC products. That's what happens when you report on misinformation.
There was a lot of confusion at first. Was this an e-cigarette thing, a THC thing? There were a lot of question marks. What we know now is that a lung injury called EVALI peaked in September of 2019. By February 2020, 2,800 cases and 68 deaths were linked to the injury.
Peaked in 2019, and as soon as COVID hit, I want you to keep in mind, it totally went away.
But where did EVALI come from? And should we still be afraid of vaping? I started going down the rabbit hole by first reaching out to Greg Rodriguez, who was sick with EVALI in September 2019.
I love that photo right there, like a classic high school Snapchat photo, like yo, new cart, new cart. Come on.
I remember thinking that it was a miracle, these vapes, because there was no smell.
Yeah, no more dryer sheets, right?
I remember those days, but yeah, exactly.
First of all, I love this man's sense of humor. He literally almost died, and here he is able to laugh and make a joke, so good for him. Two, I couldn't agree with him more. Here I was, 26, 27 years old, back living at home, sleeping on my twin mattress, ripping carts every night. And
damn, bro, check out this fucking nicotine jewel pod I got.
And I thought, God, this is the coolest thing in the world. It doesn't smell. It requires almost no work whatsoever for me to utilize this thing. And, I could just cheap away without having to worry about it.
Tell me about the onset of you starting to get sick.
I felt very dehydrated. I felt like my chest was just becoming very tight, and I started to vomit like a greenish, yellowish type substance, which in hindsight, it was what was this vitamin E acetate that my body was trying to reject.
I want to point something out about this. A lot of people will DM me, guys, and they'll say, Dr. Frank, I greened out. Dr. Frank, I had a laced cart, whatever it is. Here's the reality. Were you actually greening out from THC, or was this from a black market product with a bunch of crap in it? Pesticides, heavy metals, vitamin E acetate, some other type of chemical or liquid that they cut this product with.
Hey, bro, come hit this, bro. Come smoke. Hey, bro, come smoke this, bro. Come smoke this, bro.
we don't actually know. Is this the beginning of cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome where you're constantly vomiting and getting sick?
I have cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome. Tonight will be my second night in the hospital, third if you count my 12-hour stay from the other day. Feeling a little bit better, hopefully on the up and up again now.
We have no idea what's actually happening to that person. Did you just green out and have acute toxicity to THC because you overconsumed or your body reacted oddly?
After checking into a hospital in Queens, Greg was put into a coma by doctors and brought here to the Long Island Jewish Hospital. We sat down with Greg's physician. We treated Greg along with some of the first EVALI cases in New York.
I'm from New York, and I think New York was a really easy place to target because we don't have legalization here. So I think a lot of the plugs, a lot of the dealers knew, hey, let's target New York. It scares me seeing this because I remember going to an urgent care once with like chest pain and tightness, and they shot an x-ray and they told me I had the early stages of pneumonia, and they gave me some antibiotics and steroids, which like kind of helped, but not really. And I can't help but to wonder, was I actually starting to show early signs and symptoms of what our friend Greg here was suffering from?
So how did you meet Greg?
So we got called from one of our sister hospitals, Forest Hills, that they had a young patient that they had just put on a ventilator in the ER. They wanted to let us know that they were worried they were going to run into trouble, and could we think about putting him on ECMO.
What is ECMO exactly?
ECMO is extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, where we take the blood out of someone's body and we oxygenate it in an oxygenator outside of the body and then put it back in. So we use it as a replacement for your lungs when your lungs are not working, and it sort of buys you time for your lungs to get better. I think we cleaned out his lungs every single day for the first 2 days, and what came back with him was just this thick caramel-looking stuff. His lungs were filled with it. This is his original chest x-ray when he came in, and if you look here, you could see that both of the lungs are involved. The lungs should all be black like that, and his lungs, you can see, have a lot of white areas here. None of that should be there.
Something really important about his lungs being filled with it, I'll get especially a lot of younger people reach out and saying, Dr. Frank, I smoke danks every day. I smoke, street carts every day, and I'm fine. I don't have any problems. I was fine too for a period of time. A lot of people don't understand the cumulative effect that these products have. So you smoke 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carts, 10 carts, 20 carts, you might feel fine, but all that time, this junk could be growing inside of your body.
Are you okay, Mom? Mom, are you okay?
Until one day you wake up and suddenly you don't feel fine anymore. Just because you're not feeling problems right now with this moment doesn't mean that disaster isn't just one card away from happening.
I just found x-ray images of a person who has the new mysterious disease associated with vaping. I'm going to walk you through what it looks like. It's pretty shocking. Here's a normal chest x-ray for reference.
It's so important that you understand that concept. It's like when someone smokes cigarettes, they like smoke and wind up getting cancer. And people are like, oh, if I only would have quit in time. It's like you probably would have had to quit 20 years ago. The damage starts day one, and then it's just a matter of how quickly can your body fight this if it's capable of fighting it anymore.
What exactly in the vaping caused these illnesses?
I still think we don't know for sure. I think a lot of people have a lot of different theories, and some think it was the vitamin E that was mixed in with the vaping product, and some people think it was the flavoring. Some people think it was just the marijuana, the way that it was heated and mixed in some way. So I don't think we have an exact answer.
What she just said is so true and so important. We don't know what's causing this.
So this is love.
Everyone always yells at me, Dr. Frank, why do you hate carts so much? Dr. Frank, why are you so against carts? Because I think they're bad news. Not just black market ones, but medical grade ones too. Because we don't know what's going on. I'm not the first person in this field to say, hey, I don't know if vaping THC is a good idea. Now, I know as far as an addiction standpoint, it's a bad idea. It's much easier to use. You can hit that pen 1,000 times a day without even thinking about it, as compared to rolling up a blunt or smoking out of a bong, which takes some amount of effort, some amount of work. I know from an addiction standpoint, it's definitely a bad idea, but like, we don't even know yet. This is definitely not an experiment that I wanted to be a part of for any longer.
While the science is not fully understood, it's thought that additives in the vaping oils break down and change when heated at the high temperatures required for vaping. When these substances cool down, they may cause inflammation or coat the walls of the lungs in debris. Unprepared for these foreign objects, the lungs push the body into crisis mode.
Wow.
Think of it like a virus entering your body. Your body sees that virus and then it says attack, 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 attack. So it starts to attack these things, creating this crazy inflammatory response, which for some people, unfortunately, resulted in death.
Came out, we started to see news stories like, you should stop smoking e-cigarettes. This is an e-cigarette thing. And then it slowly shifted, that the picture became a little bit more clear that it was, maybe it's mostly THC products. But then still certain people said that they didn't vape THC, that it was only nicotine. Do you believe that it's possible to get some of these illnesses from just vaping nicotine, or do you think that they maybe weren't exactly being totally truthful?
We definitely saw patients who told us they only were taking nicotine. I think they were truthful. I do think that they don't know what they were taking.
I could not agree more with her on that statement. How could you know? Guys, Juul was in the process of suing 30 Chinese counterfeit companies for fake disposable Juul products, for fake Juul pods. Puff Bar, look at all the counterfeits that are out there. Hyde Bar, look at all the counterfeits that are out there. I could literally go on DHgate, Alibaba, Wish, buy a bunch of fake vape products that are meant to look real and just start distributing them. You have no idea in some of these circumstances what you're consuming. Juul was having a hard time even keeping up with all the counterfeits coming out.
For Greg, that's exactly what happened.
Basically, yeah, I had decided to stop buying off the street. And
sounds reasonable. He decides to stop buying street carts. Sounds good.
Then I decided to take the risk of buying them in bulk on the dark web.
Wait. Why? What?
I thought I hit the jackpot, and it turns out that I made a huge mistake with trying.
Look at those cookie carts. Oh, doesn't that packaging look ridiculously similar to a lot of the fake cake Delta 8 carts out there on the market right now? So many people think this just pertains to THC cartridges. This could be Delta 8, Delta 10, CBD. There's several instances reported of people vaping CBD and having major health complications. And all it takes is one bad cart to screw you up. Oh man, gives me flashbacks, PTSD just looking at that.
To get a good deal. When I first started to vape, it was easy to spot a fake cart. And then summer 2019, these fake carts came out. The oil inside was so thick, and it just looked the same color. It felt so real.
What Greg is referring to here is known as the bubble test.
Very hard. How do you want to know if it's a fake cart? If you bought it from your plug on Snapchat and you didn't physically walk into a dispensary and purchase it, a licensed dispensary, it's a fake cart, period. That's it. End of conversation. We're about to blow up that whole bubble test theory too right now. Everyone, but Dr. Frank, the bubble moves.
A lo-fi way to spot a fake cart. A high-purity distillate would mean the bubble in the cartridge moves slowly or not at all when it is turned upside down. However, pure THC extract can be too thick to constantly flow to the coil, so cutting agents like terpenes can be added for both flavor and flow. Counterfeiters who might dilute the product for bigger profits could then add vitamin E acetate to re-thicken the extract, fooling the bubble test and the consumer. The CDC says that vitamin E acetate is strongly linked to the Valley outbreak in 2019.
Guys, remember too, vitamin E acetate is not the only thickener out there that can be used. Honeycomb, I remember, was another really, really popular one, or Honeywell or something like that people were using. So just be aware, just because maybe you're not seeing vitamin E acetate anymore doesn't mean that they're not already coming up with the next thing. It's just a matter of time before it causes damage and hits another cycle of news.
But how prevalent is this dirty card industry? I asked Greg how hard it was to find a marketplace in the dark web.
Anyone who wants to know would just go on Google and type in dark web best marketplaces.
Okay.
It seems like, it's that easy, but yeah, it really is.
This dude must have been in pretty deep. I'll be honest, I have never been on the dark web, and I certainly wasn't browsing the dark web for THC products. This dude must have been in pretty deep to take that next step. Maybe no.
After some surprisingly easy Google searches, I booted up my VPN, downloaded Tor, and started browsing the dark web. You're going on the dark web, don't you want to go? Okay, we're in the Tor. All right, so now I'm on the dark web. What do we got here? You can get a fake ID, driver's license, Adderall, 10 tabs LSD for $30.
Adderall and LSD?
Oh, banknotes. Wow, you can get counterfeit money on here. Unbelievable. You spend money to make money. What if I found my credit card information on here? That'd be really wild. Okay, we're here for a purpose. We're just looking for weed. Cannabis. Concentrates. Live resin, better than sex, better than money. Is it?
These guys know how to market. Professional marketers.
After finding dozens of vendors that dealt THC cards, I slid into some DMs. Well, I didn't get too many responses back. I did get a suggestion I could easily find dirty carts in places like liquor or corner stores.
One of the things is a lot of people have this misconception, just because you purchased a product from a gas station or from a 7-Eleven or from some dirty corner store, that because it was in a storefront, it's a legitimate product. And that is so far from the truth. Now, granted, I used to fall for that same stuff too, but understand, legitimate storefronts can be carrying black market products. Just that simple.
So we're in Brooklyn right now where cannabis is legal, but that doesn't mean that you can't buy underground THC cartridges at a number of smoke and vape shops. So we're gonna go look around, see what these stores have, and I'm wearing a wire, and hopefully I don't get caught. Can't see anything, right? Can't see anything, I'm wearing a wire here. Look okay. All right, let's go check it out. Oh, I'm so sketched out by myself. I wouldn't sell to me.
I would be highly uncomfortable in that situation, especially given just the influx of black market THC cartridges that occurred. Like, I can't help but to wonder, where's this all coming from? And my guess would be there's some pretty dangerous people involved, if I had to take a guess.
I mean, we just look like we're hanging out, right? Right? Okay, the next one's right up here. Hey man, what's going on? You got any greens right now? Bro's got 92%.
I love this guy right off the bat. I have the new ones. Like, what are the new ones? 90 to 92% THC means probably about 30% THC, and then the rest you can just chuck it up to pesticides and vitamin E.
These are legit, right? These are bootleg, right?
Kudos to him. When he asks if they're legit, his response is, they're strong. Like, it will get you. It will get you.
How much are they now? 140. All right, one day when I get paid, man, I'll be back.
$140 a piece. I was getting ripped off paying $50 to $75 a piece on dank vapes. $140.
All right, so you had a bunch of shit in there. They were $104 a piece. All right, we're going just across the street. Hey man, how's it going? How are you? Good. How are you doing? Do you guys have greens? Huh? THC cartridges?
It's a new company I give you.
Yeah?
Give me stuff, yeah.
How much are these guys?
70.
70?
Yeah, the half gram is 45. It's a good stuff.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I've read about though. I've read that they've got the bootleg, that there's bootlegs out there of these.
So far people come to buy it a lot.
All right, that's all good, man. Thanks, dude.
I love it. Again, not necessarily lying to him. It's good stuff, blah, blah, blah. He brings up the bootleg point, and this guy, kind of like the other owner, is like, yeah, you know, people, they keep coming back like they're still alive. They're returning customers, so What are you worried about?
We were given a sample of a bodega-bought THC cartridge.
There's nothing in these right now, so I'm not in possession of THC.
It looked real to me with nice packaging and branding, but was it? I connected with Push, a distributor of THC carts in New York City, to see if he knew anything about these corner store carts.
This guy has some fascinating insight, and he actually turns out to be a really good dude who has his consumer in mind.
I went shopping for some cartridges at a bodega. Do like any of your,
I don't do nothing like that, no.
Do you know where those cartridges come from?
I mean, most likely they come from LA. If not, somebody, maybe they make them here.
A lot of people don't realize this, but what happens is a lot of these carts get moved from like online resources, China. They wind up in the LA toy district, and then they get distributed to your bigger dealers, then your local dealer, and then, like I said, your local Snapchat plug in a high school bathroom.
The THC cartridges that you're selling out here, are they licensed to be made in California?
Yeah, some of them I'll have that are have license, and there's a lot of vape brands in California that operate in the gray market. They have their own original packaging and their own original, liquid, but they don't want to jump through the hoops to get licensed.
He brings up a really good point. There are some very, very, very valid products out there, but they don't have the money or the manpower or whatever to go through all the political BS that a lot of these things have to go to, particularly the money that they have to pay to the government to get these things legitimized, which is horrible. Here we have an example of the government kind of working against people when it comes to legalization versus working in people's favor.
What's the quality of something that's in the gray market?
Sure, I mean, you can find really good shit. Like, I try to stick with brands that haven't gotten so big that they're, counterfeited. If I could buy the packaging online, I don't want that shit.
This guy straight up, if I can buy it online, I don't want it. Actually looking out for his consumer, which is a really good idea, because a dead consumer is not really good from a business standpoint. So it's okay to make the person sick. It's okay to cut it with stuff. Not saying this guy does that, but it's definitely, you've gone too far. If they're dead, they can't pay you anymore. So kudos to this guy for like educating people. He should be talking in high schools, really. I mean, he's much more interesting to listen to than I am.
I showed Push the sample we had obtained to get his opinion on it.
The main thing is the packaging. Like, this is, somebody spent good money to design all this shit. They got big enough, and then somebody else said, well, we want to rip that brand off, and they knew somebody, a graphic designer, or they knew somebody in China, and they just duplicated it, and now this is a clone. You don't know what the fuck is in this.
Even he admits it, like, you have no idea what's in here. People think they're addicted to THC. You're not. It's not. No one knows what you're actually addicted to. No one knows why you're so sick. No one knows when you're going to get better. This is a legitimate problem.
It's not like you met Big Chief, right?
Right. I don't know Big Chief.
Yeah.
So now you're doing the bubble test, right?
Oh, that shit ain't moving.
Okay.
That's not moving. So somebody that would only go by the bubble test would say, oh, this is good because this shit don't move. It's not moving at all. Which would probably mean that you don't want to hit this thing.
I love that. You don't want to hit this. This is a bad idea. This is bad. I didn't even know what the bubble test was. You'd give me a dank vape and I was just...
Rather than the bubble test, Push showed me what he called the Google test to avoid counterfeit brands.
So Big Chief packaging is what you showed me, right? So the first thing that pops up is that.
Holy shit.
So let me see that again. This is exactly.
Okay.
Look, you could buy 150 pieces of this at $2.14 a piece.
Wow, and that looks legit, right? So that looks nice. That looks
exactly the same shit.
Holy shit! So I have no idea.
You don't know what this is. You don't know what's in there.
Guys, this happens all the time, especially to many of the more popular medical brands. People will say to me, "Oh, Dr. Frank, it's a medical cart. It's a Rove cart. They sell this in dispensaries." Yes, that's the point. They purposely will steal from a larger brand because it has recognition.
Push showed me a number of different cart brands that had counterfeit clones.
That cookies cart looks awfully similar to the Cake Delta 8 cart. Just saying that everyone's like, Dr. Frank, that's ridiculous that you call out Delta 8. Don't you know how good it is? It's not about, it doesn't matter. It's not, because when it's counterfeit, we're not even talking about Delta 8 or THC or Delta 10 or THCO.
each of them looking like the real deal.
Big Chief right now, their actual fucking website is all the way down here.
Do they have anything on their site about,
Yeah, here's how to verify the product.
Okay.
Is there a code somewhere? There it is. Ooh, not authentic.
No way.
Yeah.
So somebody's selling this shit at bodegas in Brooklyn, and it's not legitimate. That's just crazy, man.
Yeah, Google test.
I realized something even crazier too. We've talked to people and we've seen real examples of where they'll go as far as to make up a fake QR code, a fake website for third-party testing. It's deep. Like, this is not a superficial thing. There are some very well orchestrated and very smart people selling some very dangerous stuff.
Google test. Google test for the win.
Realizing that I had a counterfeit cartridge, I had to find out what was actually in this thing. I reached out to Pro Verde Labs to run some tests on our sample. The lab results that came back were alarming to say the least. The sample exceeded the acceptable amount for 8 pesticides, as well as contained a concentration of vitamin E acetate.
I think you guys really have to start to question, too, the use of pesticides. When you're quitting these things and you're going through this brutal detox process, not only are you detoxing from THC, but you might also be going through a heavy metal or a pesticide detox as well. Numbness, tingling, muscle pain, joint pain, twitching muscles, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, gastrointestinal problems. Just go online and Google pesticide poisoning. And if you've been smoking a bunch of, black market carts, I think don't be surprised when you realize, like, oh my God, I might have this. Very, very scary stuff.
We saw this in there at about 8%, a little 8.5%. This is potentially deadly, this particular cartridge.
The pesticides were there at such a heavy concentration that we had to do further dilutions and able to analyze that and still be within our calibration range.
Wow.
So it's unusual that they're this heavily contaminated.
Were you surprised to find vitamin E acetate in this cartridge?
I was. It's well known. There's better alternatives. I thought by now that there would be no more in production and that what had been produced would have already been either purchased, consumed, or disposed of.
Remember, guys, just depends on the manufacturer and the dealer that you're dealing with. Some care more than others. Not everyone is as kind as Push.
Apparently that's not the case.
And then in addition, you usually find some levels of pesticides, but this one had a lot of pesticides.
We see in this one bifenazate at 190,000 parts per billion. This is 190 times what would be permissible in California.
I don't know what the long-term effect of consuming a product like this would be, but it's not good. The pesticides were not meant to be put in our body.
Are vaping products safe, or is the market just so unregulated that it's not even worth the risk?
Most states now have a supply chain of regulated, safe produced products. If you're sourcing products from reputable suppliers, I don't think that there's any concern for that.
No one knows the long-term effects of these things, and that's where I think a lot of people miss the mark. I feel fine now, which means I'm going to feel fine 5 years from now. That's not true. And for those of you who are trying to quit, a tip of advice for you, I want you to think about not going to the hospital, not the health complications, but what does that cost you? That time that gentleman was put into a seizure, what did he miss out on? Was he missing out on family? Was he missing out on friends, sports, schooling? Whatever it is, like, there's things in your life that are important to you, and addiction can rob you of those things. It will take those things away from you. So that's kind of what you have to start asking yourself. Not only is it you're worried about your health, but you're worried about what in life are you going to miss out on if, God forbid, something happens. Is it worth being part of this experiment? Is it worth it?
So the vitamin E acetate is very much like that could affect you in the very short term, whereas these other the flavorings and the pesticides, we don't know what the long-term consequences of them are.
Sure, they could result in generations of increased lung cancer because of these. We don't know. These could be 10, 20 years out till we understand it. Think about the tobacco industry, and we may find the same thing 10 years down the road with vape products associated with cannabis or nicotine.